What's going on, MMA fans? I'm here to do my MMA Corner video. I'm going to be touching some topics that were sent to me from Random Account Guy, Payday, and the MMA Challenge, which is also HumbleKing718. My apologies to Kara 123456 and Lucas D213. I'll get to your topics on my next video. But let me run into Random Account Guy's topic. What do I think the jump to MMA is like for pro wrestlers? You know, you've seen Daniel Puder make the transition into MMA. You've seen just recently Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley now going to the American Fight League, and now you see that Kurt Angle supposedly is going to be jumping into MMA, but we'll see how far that goes because that hasn't been finalized. But you know, these guys have excellent wrestling bases. Are they going to do well when it comes to MMA? That's if they push themselves. These guys have got to realize that there's jiu-jitsu, that there's stand-up that's involved. There's a lot of things that they've got to get down. And I think a lot of these guys need at least a year to train before they even try to make a jump into mixed martial arts completely, to do a professional fight. Because to make a jump into MMA right away and to fight, you're not going to learn anything, and you really need to get yourself schooled and trained and get the fundamental basics down. You know, your cardio, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. You know, even these wrestlers can use simple things such as judo. You know, other things that can help them with their wrestling base. Try to learn Greco. You know what Randy Couture uses, what Matt Lindland uses, what Dan Henderson uses, all guys that are really good Greco guys. You know, something like that. Some more tools, you know, to add to their arsenal. These guys can do it. They are capable athletes. There's no reason that they can't do it. You know, I don't despise wrestlers for jumping over to MMA, but they've got to realize that they're not going to make an immediate impact. People, it seems, that have come into MMA from the outside spectrum of the wrestling fan base think that the wrestlers that come in are just going to automatically make an impact, and unfortunately that's not the case. And you're seeing it with Brock Lesnar. You know, he does fairly well in his debut in K1. He gets in against Frank Mir, and now he's going to have another horrible matchup, I think, against Keith Haring. So you're getting to see more and more of kind of what the issue is with wrestlers jumping over and moving too fast, I think, in the sport. So I think they need to train. I think they need to have the right people around them. And if they do that and they take it seriously for a year, then transition into MMA. Payday asked me, do I think the UFC is going in a downslope? I don't think so yet. And I know I've talked about how Dana and the UFC's made some bad decisions, but just today we find out that Andrei Arlovski, after rumors of signing with Elite XC and Dream, and then there was the rumors of Affliction going around, he ends up signing with Affliction. I mean, you just lost a heavyweight. So if they keep losing fighters, top-tier heavyweights, top-tier light heavyweights, top-tier middleweights, top-tier welterweights, top-tier lightweights, and they don't manage the talent that they have in the UFC properly, then yes, you'll start seeing the UFC go on a downslope, because the die-hard fan base, and even the newer fans that start catching on to MMA and know where the fighters are at, they're going to go to that promotion to see the fighters. They're going to go watch those shows to see the fighters. The UFC's always going to make money, and there's no doubt about that, because the casual fan doesn't know about MMA. So UFC, I don't think, is ever going to go completely down, but will their views go down? Possibly, and that might be the reason. HumbleKing718 asked me, is it too late for Mark Hughes to join the UFC? Will Tito prove Dana wrong? Well, Mark Hughes, of course, is Matt Hughes' brother. He's fought, I believe, in the UFC earlier, way back. I can't remember which UFC it was that he fought in, or UFCs, but Mark Hughes is a talented wrestler in his own right. I think he's a little more well-rounded than Matt Hughes, from what I've heard, and I've never actually seen one of his fights, so I'd have to go watch one, but I think he could easily make a transition to MMA, and if he's been training, which it sounds like he has, you know, of course, with Team Hughes now, and was working with Miletich, you know, the guy could transition very well. So I don't see any reason why Mark Hughes can't make a transition into the UFC or any MMA organization if he's had prior experience, which I do believe he has. Will Tito find success in another organization? Depends on who he fights. I think at this stage of Tito's career, he is not at the level that he used to be, and it's from overtraining, from all the injuries that he's sustained over his career with back injuries, and the type of training that he does. And he doesn't try to go out and get, just like Ken Shamrock, and Ken Shamrock and Tito are almost the same exact way, is they don't go out to new gyms and try to get new types of training. They don't try to get different outtakes or outlooks. They stick with the same stuff. And because of that, and not going out and getting new aspects of the sport, you stay in the same type of mold that you've always been in. And Tito will always have a problem with guys that are better wrestlers than him. For a perfect example, Rashad Evans. Guys that are more elusive than he is, Machida. And guys that are counter-strikers, like Chuck. He's always going to have issues with those kind of matchups. If you put him up against a guy that is primarily a striker and has no takedown defense, Tito's going to wreck him. There's no doubt about it. But you put him up against any of those three types of guys I just talked about, Tito's going to have a rough time. Tito is always going to be Tito Ortiz. He's always going to have a name for himself. He's always going to be able to draw in an audience because people know who Tito Ortiz is. So is he going to do well in another organization? More than likely he will, because they'll put him up against guys that they know Tito can either beat, or guys that are easier matchups for Tito, I think, and will allow the fan base to be drawn in and see Tito. So I think Tito will do well in another organization just because the fan base is there and because the fans love Tito. So those are my topics for this MMA Corner. Leave me some comments, constructive, negative, positive, and some ideas for my next MMA Corner video. So on that note, you guys have a great day.